Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Welcome to another lecture for today. So today we're going to have our lecture done by our friend Patrick. But before that, as always, we're going to have the initial reading and prayer done by Thiago.
Hi, good morning, everyone. The message today comes from the book Happy Life by the spirit Joana de Angelis and psychography of Divaldo Franco. When a man decides to modify his moral conduct for the better, he seems to face a general conspiracy against his desire for improvement. Everything changes and is out of control. The least little things become complicated, and the rhythm of events changes for the worse for some time. This state of affairs leads the person who would improve himself to retreat and give up. Every transference modifies what is usual. In the area of moral actions, the reaction is the greater because one is penetrating to the root of evil to cut it out. This leads to the growth of new and balanced customs. Do not abandon your goals of morality and inner growth because of the first difficulties you encounter. So, if that, let us close our eyes and elevate our thoughts to Master Jesus and the spirituality surrounding us. And let us pray. Dear Lord, thank you for this opportunity of being here today in the Sunday morning with the goal to learn about your words and improve ourselves. May you enlighten our brother Patrick during his lecture today, and may he be inspired by the spirituality. And may what we learn here today give us the strength to face the difficulties that we have in our daily lives, and give us courage to pursue our moral improvement. Thank you so much, and so be it.
So good morning. So as you guys may know, for the last 2 months we are talking about the book Jesus in the Home. So today we will get another chapter. That's chapter 46, and that's called the Priceless Tree. But before we talk a little bit about this chapter, I would like to talk a little bit of a teaching that we have on the book of the spirits. And that is on chapter 7, when Kardec asked the spirits about the laws of the society. So, should we live in a society? Should we not? And then I prepared kind of a resume of everything that the spirits brought to Kardec. So basically, the first thing that the spirits bring to us is that we need to live in a society so we can evolve, right? We do not have the power to speak and to hear just because God thought that would be a nice feature for us. He gave us this power so we could interact with each other and learn a little bit with each other, right? And another thing that they bring to us is that we are here to evolve together because we do not have all the faculties by ourselves. So basically, I can give an example. I know a little bit how to manage the computer. Like I would say I can help someone, but I am very bad at handyman. Last time that I tried to do something at home, I was installing my TV, and I just went through the wall. So basically now I have a very nice hole in my wall. Yeah, my wife is not happy with that. But that's just to show that we are here to learn together. I could have asked help to someone, and someone that is a little bit more handy could have been done, or could have been there and help me with that, right? And so basically we are here to evolve ourselves, but we are not on the same path. So each one of us is here to learn something different and to learn a little bit with others. And as you may know, every 3 or 4 months, we go here together to do our blood donation, right? And then last time that we went together after our blood donation, we went to a coffee. And when we were walking to the coffee shop, I saw that one of the people that were with us, he stopped every time that he saw someone that was in need, right? And he talked a little bit to this person and gave them a cookie, and that caught my attention that day because it is so a small thing to do, and I wasn't doing it, right? So basically, I could be doing, let's say, charity, right, or helping someone with a very, very small thing, but I wasn't. So on that day, I learned that even small things can change a little bit, right? And another thing that the spirits bring to us here on this chapter is that we should not isolate ourselves, because that is us being selfish, right? So every time that we hear saying, "Hey, I am moving to the mountains, I will be alone," I'm being selfish because I'm not sharing the things that I know, and I'm not willing to learn things that other people can teach me. And the last thing is that humans are not made to humans cannot halt march of progress. We can for sure slow it down, but we can't stop it, right? And then one thing that the spirits bring to us is when we do that, God will call our attention or will provoke us so we can come back to the right path. So I was willing to bring that because that's directly connected a little bit with the story that Jesus brought to us, or that the spirits brought to us on the book Jesus in the Home. I don't know if I shared it with you, but I think you guys saw it. So basically on chapter 46, Jesus was pointing out a little bit of the divine kingdom, and that one day we would have the divine kingdom on earth, right? And then the old ZBD that was usually with the apostles and Jesus, he asked Jesus for a story so they could understand a little bit more of what he was talking about and trying to explain. And Jesus, as usual, was very happy and started talking. And he told that there was a time that people lived in constant conflicts along with misery, confusion, and suffering. And that's not today, right? That's in the past. But at the time, God sent us a messenger. And this messenger brought some seeds. And the seeds were from the tree of happiness and peace. So this messenger organized a party so he could explain a little bit of how the seeds work and how they should be cared, right? Because they needed very, very special care. And on that day, he explained that the seeds would give flowers of light and fruits of gold. And this tree would end the disagreements that we had here on earth. But of course, for that to be possible, this tree needed very special care, as I said. And the most important thing that this tree needed would be love and watchfulness from everyone in that village. But more than that, this tree would need suitable soil, a very specific watering system, a certain type of fertilizer, constant protection against insects and other things that you can find in nature, and various measures during difficult times, right? But despite all the work that this seed would give, to the tree to come, it would need just one victorious speechman for everyone to be blessed with everything that the tree could give to them. So after the messenger gave this lecture and told them how they should care about the tree, everyone went home. But everyone went home willing to have the seeds and the power of the seeds just for themselves, right? Everyone was dreaming on having it exclusively for their own use. So by that, they isolated themselves from the world and tried to cultivate this tree just for them. But as the messenger brought to them, this tree needed a very, very special care and needed everyone to cooperate. So basically, this tree needed fraternal cooperation. So basically, if some of them had water, they didn't have the fertilizer. If they had the fertilizer, they didn't have land. And if they have the best land, they didn't have the means how to watch for the tree or take care for the tree. So nobody had the exact specific things that the tree needed to grow. And then they had the two options, right? Or they could get together and make the tree grow, but they choose the other one. They choose to start a war. So they choose to invade their neighbors to try to get what they didn't have. And then with that, they whipped each other out from earth. So basically, the tree didn't grow. But due to the divine nature of the seeds, they didn't got wasted. And then on this point of the story, Jesus made a pause and he added, and I want to read it for you. This is a symbol of the future war of humans to detriment of happiness. The Father's talents have been granted to his children indiscriminately, so that they might learn to partake of his eternal gifts with understanding and harmony. Some have intelligence, others reflection. Some guard the earth's gold, others the sublime knowledge. Some hold authority, others experience. But they are all to win by themselves, not disseminate the good with others through heroism and virtue, but to humiliate those who are bringing up the rear. So basically, what Jesus was teaching again was that we need to unite our forces and learn with each other, right? And he stated that when the true unity become voluntary among all of us, then the divine kingdom would shine on earth. And then I would like just to compare it a little bit with our spiritual center, right? Because if we think we are here a small community, so we come here every Sunday for the lectures. We can come on Wednesdays for the studies. We can have the fraternal assistance, right? But for all these to happen, we need to get together and help each other. So if we think a little bit about today, so for today's lecture, someone needed to come early and open the door for us, right? We need someone to guide all the work that we are doing. So we have our MC that's coordinating everything. We need someone to study a little bit and bring us the lecture. We need to have people that are available for the passes. We need to have someone at the computer checking if it's being transmitted for everyone that's watching online, or if they have any questions. And We need to have someone with the kids. They are not here today, but usually they are. So we need we need to have someone that is willing to be with the kids, but more than that, to prepare the lecture for them as well, because they are not here just playing, right? They are here for learn like we are here for learn. But getting a little bit more than that, like that's just for today, right? For TSS to work, as you may notice, TSS is always very clean. So we need to have someone to come and clean TSS for us. So we have an entire crew that divides the work for that. We need someone that is willing to organize our events. So our lunch and learns, our potlucks, our blood donations, the Red Door campaign, right? We need someone that is willing to check our inventory. Do we have cups? Do we have water? Do we have cleaning products? Do we have everything for us to come and have a nice place for us? We need people to coordinate, and we need people that are willing to come to the studies on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Again, we have our lectures. We need to have someone that's willing to choose the themes for us, and people that are willing to learn and to study and bring the teams to us. And here, I'm not saying that people that coordinate the studies or they bring the lectures, they are better. I'm just saying that they are studying a little bit and bring a little bit of knowledge to us, but they are not better, or they don't know more than everyone here, right? And last but not least, we need someone that is willing to help with our finances. So are we paying everything? Are we paying our bills, right? And more than that, we need people to help us getting money to pay for everything. So as we can see, our spiritual center is a kind of a community where we need to work together and put our effort. And I'm just talking about the material side, but in the spiritual side as well, right? But let's think a little bit about our world. So basically, if we analyze the world that we have today, we do not have any country that has everything that it needs for their citizens, right? So the ones that have food, they don't have water. The ones that have water, they don't have land. The ones that have land, they don't have petroleum, and etc., etc., etc. So basically, what we did in the past was we started invading each other to conquer land or to conquer that place that had water or whatever we needed. But then we evolved, right? And nowadays we are not invading places, or we are trying to. We learned that we can exchange. So basically, if Canada wants to have pão de queijo, now we can buy it from Brazil, right? And we can send maple syrup to them. So we learned that we could exchange, and that's a part of our evolution. But more than that, the globalization that we have brought us information. So if we think 100 years ago, we knew that, and I'm just using Africa as an example. Africa was there, right? But that was it. Africa is there, it's a continent, and that's it. 20 years ago, we knew Africa was there. We knew that they were struggling with food and with water, but kind of it was too far for us to make something. It was too far from our reality. And if we get today, we know everything that we knew 20 years ago, right? But we have people that are willing to help. So we have people that are willing to help with problems that are not in their backyards. They are people that are concerned, and then I'm talking about not just adults, but I'm talking about kids that are seeing and finding information on the internet and trying to find projects or ways so they can help. And I think you guys know one of the examples that we have here is the Fraternity Without Borders Canada, right? So basically, Fraternity Without Borders is trying to help, I think, 2 projects in Africa, 1 in Brazil. If I'm not right, you can talk to Teresa. She will be more than happy to talk to you about that. And if you're willing to help, Teresa is more then welcome to talk to you about that as well. But so we have a lot of people working on the improvement of our world, right? But like Jesus brought to us, if we are willing to have peace on earth, we need to do our part, because we can just help on our world's and our society evolution if we work in our evolution, right? So basically we need to learn how to forgive. How can I expect that the world gets in peace if I can't forgive someone that did something to me, right? Or if the person that did something to me can forgive, or sorry, the other way, can forgive me, right? We need to learn how to practice charity. And charity is a very funny thing, because we think of charity just by giving money or food to someone, right? But one discussion that we were having the other day in our gospel at home, when you start studying the gospel, or the Spirit's book, but more the gospel, we learn that there are tons and tons and tons of forms of charity that we can do. Just for an example, we bring two. So being patient with someone is a form of charity, right? Helping someone, and I'm not saying helping with money. I'm saying sit 5 minutes with someone that's in need to talk, right? And give them the attention that they need, or just stop and ask if they are good or they are okay. And this is a very small things that we can do and that are considered charity, right? And of course, it all will depend on our uh, just forgot the word, intention. It will depend on our intention, right? Another thing is that we need to learn how to be less selfish, right? How can I want our world to evolve, or how can I expect me to evolve if I am being selfish, if I want the best for me or for my family, right? We are we need to learn to share the things that we gain or that we have with others, so we can evolve our world. And last but not least, we need to leave our pride aside, right? Um, and then I think one of the questions that always came to me when I'm studying the gospel and seeing all of that is, okay, reading here, talking here, it's kind of easy, right? But how can I really do something? How can I start change that I'm seeking for? And Kardec had the same question, right? And he asked the spirits that. And the spirits told him, know yourself. Oh, now it's much easier. So I need just to know myself so I can start to understand a little bit and where I need to change, right? Kardec had the same feeling. And then he asked, by what means can we do so? And the spirit that brings the answer for us is St. Augustine. And St. Augustine told Kardec at the time that we should do exactly what he did when he was incarnated. So basically, St. Augustine, every time or every day when he was lying on bed before sleeping, he started to analyze his day. What good things did he do? What bad things did he do? And so he could start knowing himself and working on his improvement. And one of the things that St. Augustine brought to Kardec at the time was that we need to ask questions. And then I kind of prepared 5 questions that work for me, right? And I think that would help us to understand a little bit how we can evolve. So basically, the first one is, what good or evil did I do today? Like, that's a very generic question, but and that can generate more questions for us when we are lying on the bed at the end of the day. The second question is, has someone anything to complain about me? So basically, did I do something to someone that they can complain? Third, Did I help everyone that I could help today? So, as I told you in the beginning of the lecture, on the day that we went together to the blood donation, for sure I didn't, right? I could have done different. But okay, I think one of the things that when we are trying to evolve is noticing everything that we do. If we notice that we did something that we don't like, we can change, right? That's the start for our change. Fourth question. Would God be pleased by the things that I did? And then that is trying to put God shoes. That is not possible, but just to try to understand a little bit of, again, could I do something different? And fifth, and I think this one is the more important question, did I do something against me? Because if we think Jesus told us that we should love the others how we love ourselves. So basically, if I'm hurting myself, how can I be doing good things to others, right? So by asking the simple questions, we will be able to know ourselves and to start a change. And then St. Augustine just added one important thing, that we should not neglect the opinion of our enemies because they don't have any interest in discussing the truth about us, right? And then connecting that a little bit to another part of the gospel, that's chapter 25, that is called Seek and You Shall Find. And that is analogous to help yourself and how heaven will help you. So basically here Kardec brings to us that we as a society, we evolved, right? If we think in the beginning, we were using our energy to survive and to protect ourselves and to get food. But God gave us the incessant desire for our self improvement. So we start working on ourselves. We start understanding that we would need to live in a society. We learned how to build houses. We learned to kind of respect each other, right? So, by all means, we need to help ourselves. And of course, we will find some stones under our feet, right? And it is our responsibility to check and get the stones out of there. We need to work, and I'm not saying work as going to work every day. We need to work in ourselves and our self improvement. We need to get out of our comfort zone, because if we are in our comfort zone, we cannot seek improvement. We cannot seek how to get better, right? And the last is, again, we need to know ourselves, because knowing ourselves, then we can make the change. But more than that, by doing that, we start working in our evolution. And working in our evolution, again, is working in the evolution of the planet. And one of the things that they bring on this chapter on the gospel is that we can always ask for help. We are never alone, right? So basically, we can ask for light to enlighten us. We can ask for the strength to resist the temptations and support the trials and expiations that we find in our days. We can always ask for the assistance of the good spirits, because they are always there. Perhaps we are not connected to them, but they are always there, right? And we can always ask for good counsels from the spirits. And then, if we see everything that's happening on earth today, perhaps you're thinking, okay, but will that happen? Will kingdom of heaven one day be on earth? And Kardec had the same, exactly the same question, right? And that's the last question of the Spirit's book. And St. Louis brings to us that for sure it will. It is part of our evolution, right? So that will happen when we have more good spirits than spirits that are in need to work on their self evolution. So basically, the transformation of humankind has been predicted, and we are going through that. So everything that happens on Earth or in our planet is part of our evolution, is part of what we need to learn. And we are here to try to do something and help the world to evolve. And then when I was just finishing to prepare the lecture, I I started to think, okay, but what is a moral person, right? By the end of the day, we are always saying, okay, we need to evolve our moral, we need to improve ourselves. But what is a moral person for spiritism, or what is a moral person for the spirits, right? And Kardec brought that to us on the gospel. So basically, a moral person practices the law of charity and in the purest way. A moral person questions himself or herself every day. So it's a person that knows himself. It's a person that has faith in God and has faith in the future. No, it's a person that knows that everything that happens to him or to her is part of the trials or expiations that we need to face while we are here incarnated. Is a person that has the sentiment of charity and love. And and charity is the guide for him. Is a person that find their satisfaction on the benefits they spread around. Is a person that respect others. Is a person that does not have sentiments of vengeance against others. It's a person that does not find pleasure in searching defect in others. And is a person that will use, but will never abuse the possessions that they have. So basically, it's a person that is willing, let's say, if they have money, it's willing to help others, right? So in summary, the moral person respects in others their rights that they are granted by the laws of nature. And just a reflection that I was that I found on the internet, and it is from a famous actor in Brazil that is called Nelson de Freitas. So I would like you to imagine that everyone that is here incarnated has a account in a bank, and every day we would get $86,400 in that bank account. That would be amazing, right? But yeah, I think I would like that. But you need to spend this $86,400 every day, because by the end of the day, your account will be zeroed. And on the next day, you would get $86,400 again. And if I tell you that everyone here is a client on that bank, and that bank is called time. So God gives us 86,400 seconds every day for us to work in our self-improvement, for us to work in evolving ourselves, for us to work and help our brothers and sisters that are in need, right? And if you are willing to know the value of the time, you can ask a boy that just repeated a scholar year, sorry, and a mother that had a premature baby, or someone that just narrowly avoided an accident by 1 second, right? So let's use our time for the good, for our evolution, so we can evolve. So just a little bit about a resume of everything that I brought today is The first thing, we need to learn how to live in a society, right? We need to learn that we need to help each other, because alone we are not getting there. Second, and I would say the more important for me from this lecture, is knowing ourselves. Because again, if we know where we need to improve, then we are able to improve. If we don't know ourselves, we don't know where or how we can improve. Third, practicing charity. So basically, helping each other. Again, we need to learn how to be humble. We need to learn how to not be selfish, right? And we need to learn how to not have pride. And that was it. Thank you. Any questions, comments?
It's a very great subject to talk about today. I think it's funny because we think about Jesus telling the story 2,000 years ago, but I don't think he was trying to teach us that time when he told the story. I think he told us that story 2,000 years ago to teach us today. I think when you look to the world these days, there's no subject that's more up to date than this one. Because that's exactly what we see this day in the world, exactly what was described, right? You have the seeds, and if everybody works together, the seed is gonna be great, and you're gonna have, the peace and the harmony and the happiness. And until this day, we didn't understand this teaching, right? And it's more than ever up to date, because we're still invading each other, I want everything for me. And that's why we see the world that we see today. And yes, it's very easy for us to see that on the big picture when you look at the wars that are happening now today. And you're for power, I want your area, because nobody invades I never saw anybody invade the Sahara Desert.
Mm-hmm. No.
In history, nobody has made this. Nobody wants a pile of sand, right? So usually when you invade an area, it's because either there's oil in that area, or it's a highly productive for something, or because products, it's areas with gold and mines, and that's what we want. Because again, right? If I have the fertilizer, I want also the good soil, and I want them together, right? Because then I can dominate everything for me. And that's the world that we live in now. But it's very easy for us to be seen that in the big picture. But we forget that we're part of that as well.
Oh, yeah.
Don't we do them as well on a daily basis? Don't I do sometimes stuff that's just what's the best for me? Instead of I think what's the best for the whole community? And like you said, it's and you said something that's very important. It's the small things that make a difference. So when I go through a red light because it's convenient to me, I don't care for the rest of the society. I don't care if I'm gonna, maybe create an accident that can affect other people's lives. But for me right now, crossing the red light, either as a pedestrian or a car, whatever thing, it's convenient for me on that moment. Because what's convenient for me comes first, then what's convenient for the whole community, right? And yes, we are already this planning for a generation, or it doesn't look like, right? But we know that in 2011 or 13, this Ministry de Paulo Franco has announced already we are actually a planet for regeneration. It doesn't look like, because we just past midnight, and until we get 7 in the morning, the sun's gonna take quite a while.
Oh, yeah.
But I like to think that slowly we start to understand that, right? Because that's what we do. That's what we brought, like these days with the this global view that we have, with the information outcomes. We see people that worry about a problem, like I said, it's not in our backyard anymore, but I try to help women's rights in other countries because it becomes my problem as well, right? So it is slowly getting there. And then I think eventually, we will not have space slowly for this selfish way that we do the world. But we need to, like you said, we need to really change the daily, right? Our daily is what I do, because I cannot change the world, but I can change myself, like you said, right? So what I do I think about the community or just think about the seeds just for myself because I want my city to flourish? But it's not gonna happen. And that's the huge part of this passage from Jesus in the Home is that we're not gonna get there unless we work together, unless and I love the way you did the introduction because it's really if I'm good on something, you're good on something else, and if we exchange it, that's how it's gonna be. I was reading something, I think it was last week, that was very interesting. Someone said, if I have a bread and you have, the story was in euros. So if I have a bread and you have €1, right? And then I sell the bread to you, you end up with the bread, but without your euro. And now end up with an euro, but without a bread, right? But if I teach you something and you teach me something, we both gonna have both knowledge. It's the one that I had plus yours, and you're gonna have yours plus mine, so that we both
Exactly.
we both have more, right? So it goes beyond just exchange. You give something, give you back. But when we help each other to get better, then we both better. We're both better people. It's just not like, oh, now I have what you have and you have what I have, and then pretty much we just in the same spot. Like nobody really got better here, right? And that was very interesting thing that was reading, and I think slowly we getting there, we understanding that. So yeah, thank you for the lecture because to me it's a very very up to date. I was really thinking about that. Yeah, I think he thought that started 2,000 years ago, but he's going to be reading now, and it was more like for us
At the moment, yeah.
at the moment to understand that this tree is not gonna grow. This world is not gonna be better until we don't start to think as a community instead of just myself.
Yeah, but I think you brought something very important, right? We are in the planet of regeneration. And one of the parts of being on a planet of regeneration is we have more evolved spirits that are incarnating here so they can teach us. And of course, sometimes we can teach them as well something. I hope so. But by the end of the day, again, we are not here to get the euro, but we are here to learn something. We are here to make this exchange and learn something.
Yeah, so great speech. I was reading an article the other day about these American Jewish journalist, and he's a great author. He writes about his behavior, basically. And one day, he was famous already. He wrote his first book, and he was in New York with his son on a Sunday morning, and they are enjoying a cup of coffee each. And he's talking with his son. How good was that moment, right? How good was that coffee in a very bright, sunny day in New York? And he decided to say thank you. Thank you, God, for this cup of coffee. And his kids said, yeah, but why this coffee is here? And he decided, okay, this is right. It's like someone worked to put this coffee here. Someone went to the grocery store, bought the coffee. But someone planted the coffee. Someone built this cup. Someone built the road to transport the coffee. And both together, they decided to do an experience. And they went all the way as far as they could to thank you every person who worked to put that coffee on the table.
Wow.
And they talked with more than 500 people in different countries in the world saying thank you for that particular cup of coffee. And they wrote a book about that. It's like it's a great author that talks about his behavior. He always acts and talks about that afterward. So it's like it's very much what you said. It's like for a simple cup of coffee to be on top of your table, a lot of people work for that. And the other thing that it's like came to mind is the motto, the African motto, that it takes a village to raise a kid. Right? For those who do have a kid, you know that it's like you're just a fraction of education, right? Your kid, there are a lot of people working to raise a kid. And my second point is like, for those who doesn't know, Divaldo Franco, it's hospitalized, has nothing to do with your speech now. But this got me by surprise. And for those who are, and it's like, it's willing to, put your prayers to him. He's more than 100 years old, or he's close to that.
It's not.
Yeah, he's not a lot. But he's such a wonderful person who people do not, that never watch his speech. It's like it's totally worth it. He's a great person. So if you can, put your prayers on him.
Thank you. I think important topics.
I would point out, sorry. I just want to point out towards the end of your lecture, very important to put time as our most valuable asset with the figurative like picture of the bank. And if we had that in mind, like constantly, we would stop fighting for things that are just, they're gonna go away. Like this body we're gonna leave behind, all the things that we struggle so much for, like money, material things, they're all gonna be left behind. Then in the end of the day, what did you do with the time that you spent here? Because yes, we are eternal spirits, but this time now is our test. Right?
Yep.
Is our prime time to move a step forward, and so we have to make the best effort of it.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
that's it.
Thank you very much.
Enough.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for the comments and questions. Thank you for those who join us online. We are now going to get ready for our passes. Have a lovely weekend.